Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about life and love that'll change how you see both. See, a lot of people waste their energy chasing somebody who's already tied up, emotionally, mentally, or even legally. And they think that by holding on tighter, they'll somehow be chosen. But let me tell you the truth. If a man is tied to someone else, you don't pull harder. You step back and let him choose. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that will save you years of heartache, tears, and confusion. Self-worth attracts real love, and you never, ever have to chase what's already meant for you. See, the problem with most people today is they confuse attention with affection, consistency with commitment, and company with connection. They start running after someone who only gives them half of what they deserve, thinking that if they try harder, love will finally show up. But let me tell you right now, real love don't show up because you chased it. It shows up because you became someone who knew they were already enough before love even arrived. I've seen people lose themselves trying to prove they're worthy of someone's time, when all along they were worthy from the start. The truth is, when you don't know your worth, you settle for anything that feels like love, even if it hurts. You'll tolerate disrespect because you're afraid of being alone. You'll keep explaining your value to someone who stopped listening months ago. You'll keep giving second chances to people who never earned the first one. That's not love, baby. That's fear. And fear will make you chase something that was never running toward you. You've got to understand this. Self-worth is magnetic. When you know what you bring to the table, when you're not begging anybody to sit down and eat with you, you start attracting people who see your value without you saying a word. Real love recognizes confidence, it respects boundaries, and it values peace. If you've got to beg somebody to choose you, they were never yours in the first place. If you've got to keep reminding them how to love you, they're not ready for the gut of love you give. A lot of folks think chasing shows effort. No, chasing shows fear of loss. You can put in effort without losing yourself. You can show interest without surrendering your dignity. There's a big difference between saying, I care, and saying, I'll do anything, even lose myself, just to keep you. Because the second you start begging for love, you've already told yourself you're not enough on your own. But you are. You always have been. You just forgot because somebody made you believe love has to hurt to be real. Let me tell you something from experience. The minute you start standing on your worth, everything changes. People treat you how you treat yourself. If you walk around like a discount, don't be surprised when people come looking for a sale. But if you carry yourself like you're priceless, you attract people who can afford to value you. You won't have to lower your price. You won't have to shrink your personality. And you won't have to dim your light to make somebody else comfortable. The right person won't be intimidated by your shine. They'll help you glow even brighter. Now listen, loving yourself doesn't mean you don't want love from someone else. We all do. We all want somebody to hold us, to believe in us, to choose us. But the kind of love that lasts doesn't come from chasing. It comes from alignment. When you're aligned with your purpose, your peace, and your confidence, love will find you at the right time, not when you're out there begging for it. You can't force what's meant for you, and you can't lose what's truly yours. So stop chasing what keeps running from you. Sometimes God lets something slip away just so you can find yourself again. See, real love doesn't ask you to prove your worth. It mirrors it. When someone really loves you, they don't make you question your place in their life. They don't keep you wondering where you stand. They don't missing when things get hard. You won't have to decode their text messages or fight for their time. You won't have to somebody else for their attention. Because when love is real, it's consistent. It's calm. It's clear. It doesn't need chasing because it walks right toward you. Steady, sure, and intentional. I've met people who think being chosen is the prize. No. The prize is knowing you were already whole before anybody chose you. When you stand in that truth, you stop settling for halfway love, for temporary attention, for people who only show up when it's convenient. You start understanding that solitude is not punishment. It's preparation. Being alone doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means you are that you're making space for what's right. Sometimes God isolates you so you can remember who you are before you forget trying to please somebody else. I remember once talking to a woman who said, "Steve, I keep doing everything right. I cook, I support him, I love him, and still he won't commit." I told her, "Baby, love ain't about performance. You can't make somebody see your worth by overworking for it. If he can't see your value now, no amount of sacrifice will open his eyes. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. When you stop accepting excuses, when you stop tolerating disrespect, when you stop trying to prove your worth, the wrong ones leave. But that's how the right one finds you. Self-worth is quiet. It doesn't scream, it doesn't chase, it doesn't beg. It simply says, if you see me, great. If you don't, I'll still be shining. That's the kind of energy that changes the game. Because love built on a desperation collapses under pressure, but love built on confidence stands firm. You've got to love yourself so much that you become the standard. You've got to hold yourself in such high regard that being chosen by someone else feels like a bonus, not validation. Because when you see yourself as enough, you attract someone who agrees. Let me tell you something real. Chasing love is exhausting. You can't build peace while running after confusion. You can't heal while holding on to what hurts you. Love is not supposed to feel like a race. It's not supposed to feel like you're fighting for a place in someone's heart. It's supposed to feel like home. But you can't find home in someone who keeps locking the door. So stop running. Stop chasing. Sit still. Know your worth. The right love will recognize you, respect you, and choose you without you having to lose your breath, trying to prove your worth, choosing. When you finally get tired of chasing, you start attracting. That's the shift. That's the moment you go from needing love to being love. You start carrying yourself differently. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging. You start saying no to what doesn't serve you and yes to your peace. And that's when real love finds you, not because you were chasing it, but because you became the kind of person who didn't need to. So remember this, self-worth attracts real love. Never chase what's running away. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are enough. Always have been. Always will be. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight up. If he's tied to someone else, that's his test, not yours. See, in this world of love and relationships, too many people try to play God in someone else's life. They try to untie what was never theirs to begin with. They think if they love hard enough, wait long enough, or pray loud enough, that man will wake up one morning, look at them, and finally choose them. But the truth is, You can't make somebody free when they've chosen to stay bound. You can't rewrite another person's test paper, no matter how much you care about them, if he's tied to someone else. Emotionally, physically, or legally, that's not your assignment. That's his responsibility, his challenge, his cross to carry. Your job is not to fix his situation. Your job is to protect your peace. The moment you step into something that ain't yours, you step out of alignment with your purpose. You stop being the blessing and start being the distraction, not because you're a bad person, but because you're in a position you were never meant to fill. And when you stand in the wrong place, even the right heart can get hurt. Let me paint this clearly. When someone's tied to another person, maybe it's out of love, maybe it's out of guilt, maybe it's out of habit, but it's still a choice. And until they untee themselves, you have no business waiting for them to decide between you and someone else. Because if they can't decide without losing their peace, you're going to lose yours. When a person is divided, they can't give you wholeness. You'll get pieces of them. A phone call at midnight, a few sweet words when they're lonely, promises about the future that never come true, but never the full picture. And if you stay long enough, you start confusing those pieces for love. You start believing that crumbs are meals. But baby, you deserve the whole plate, not leftovers from somebody else's table. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking. Steve, he says he's not happy where he is. He says, I'm the one. He says, he just needs time. I hear that story every day. And my answer is the same. If he really meant it, he'd already be gone. Because people make time for what they want. They move for what matters. When someone says, I'm tied up right now, believe them. That's not an invitation to wait. That's a warning to walk away. Because love that comes with conditions and complications ain't love. It's confusion dressed up in pretty words. You've got to understand something powerful. When God wants to bless you, he doesn't do it through broken promises. He doesn't build forever on someone else's. Almost. You might think you're fighting for love, but sometimes you're fighting against destiny. If he's tied to someone else, that means God's still working on his heart, his choices, his character. And you've got to have enough faith and self-respect to step back and let God finish what he started. Because if you step in too early, you'll get caught in the middle of somebody else's storm, and you'll drown in waves that were never meant to hit you. Let me tell you, ladies, a man who's tied to another woman but still reaching out to you is not showing love, he's showing confusion. He's showing weakness. Because a real man, a man of integrity, won't start something new until he's closed what's old. And if he does, what makes you think he won't do the same thing again when life gets complicated? The same rope that ties him to her today could be the rope that ties him away from you tomorrow. Don't fall in love with potential that's stuck in somebody else's promise. I've seen women lose themselves waiting on a man to leave a situation he should have walked out of years ago. They start lowering their standards, compromising their peace, hiding in shadows just to feel chosen. They start saying things like, it's okay, he'll come around. He just needs time. But time ain't healing when truth is missing. You can't heal what keeps hurting you. You can't grow in a love that's rooted in somebody else's pain. Because the truth is, if you're standing in the middle of someone else's story, you're not building yours, you're just a chapter in confusion. Now, men, Don't think this message ain't for you too. If she's tied to someone else, that's not your playground. That's your warning sign. Don't try to be the hero in a story that's not yours to save. You can't fix what's still attached to another person's heart. You can't replace someone who's not done letting go. And if she can't choose you fully, walk away gracefully. Because real love doesn't require stealing. It requires surrender. It won't be tied up. If it's meant for you, it won't need untying. It'll come free, clear, and ready. See, the problem is people mistake chemistry for confirmation. Just because you connect with someone doesn't mean you're meant to be with them. Sometimes the connection is just there to teach you what your boundary should look like. Sometimes it's to remind you that you still deserve honesty, even when it feels right. And sometimes it's to test whether you'll choose peace over passion. Because not everything that feels good is good for you. You can love somebody and still know they're not yours to keep. Maturity's when you can walk away from something that almost fits because you trust what's coming will fit perfectly. If he's tied to someone else, that means his story's still being written, and your role might not be what you hoped it would be. Don't try to edit the script God wrote for him. You don't need to compete for a part in someone's unfinished story when you were made to star in your own. You deserve someone who can love you in public, not in silence. Someone who can claim you with clarity, not confusion. Someone who can build with you fully, not halfway. Now, I'm going to tell you something that might sting a little. If you're the one who's been entertaining someone else's man, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to free you. Because deep down, you know it's not right. Deep down, you know that kind of love don't bring peace. You're losing sleep, questioning your worth, waiting for text messages that come too late, holidays that never include you, and promises that always start with, someday. That's not love. That's bondage disguised as romance. Love doesn't hide you. Love doesn't make you a secret. Love doesn't swirl, have you waiting in the wings while someone else takes center stage. You deserve the spotlight too. The truth is, if a man can't be loyal where he is, he won't be loyal where he goes. If he can lie to her, he can lie to you. If he can juggle two hearts now, he can juggle again later. You're not winning by being chosen out of betrayal. Because what starts in deception ends in destruction. You can't build forever on somebody else's tears. You can't plant joy in the soil of somebody else's heartbreak. It might feel exciting for a moment, but that thrill comes with a cost. And the bill always comes due. You've got to love yourself enough to say, if he's tied up, I'll untie myself from this. That's strength. That's wisdom. That's growth. Because when you walk away from what's complicated, you make room for what's clear. When you release what's borrowed, you create space for what's yours. And let me tell you, nothing attracts blessings faster than obedience. When you honor your worth, the universe rearranges itself to meet your value. Sometimes God lets you cross paths with a tied up person, not so you can have them, but so you can learn to recognize red flags in your next chapter. Sometimes you meet the wrong one, so you'll never again mistake confusion for love. And sometimes you're sent into someone's life, not to stay, but to show them what real love should look like. And then walk away when they're not ready for it. So if he's tied to someone else, don't fight for him. Pray for him, because that's his battle. And your blessing is waiting somewhere else. If you try to take what's not free, you'll end up trapped too. But if you stand still, if you trust the process, if you say, God, I'll wait for what's mine, then one day love will show up untied, unbroken, and unafraid. Remember this, a man who's still tired of learning his lessons. You don't need to be his test. You need to be his testimony. But he can't get to that stage until he passes where he is. So let him go. Let him figure it out. Let him face his truth. Because if he's meant for you, he'll come back whole, not halfway. And if he's not, then thank God you didn't spend your life waiting on someone else's decision. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that every person in this room needs to hear. Your value doesn't decrease because someone can't see it yet. You don't become less worthy just because someone's vision is blurry. You don't become less special because someone overlooked you. See, sometimes in life, people won't recognize what they're holding until they lose it. They won't realize what they had until it's gone, and by then, you've already grown, needing their validation. You are still valuable, still worthy, still enough, even when you're not appreciated. We live in a world that loves to measure people. How you look, how much money you got, who you're dating, what kind of car you drive, what kind of life you show online. But let me tell you something, none of that determines your worth. You can have all the likes, all the followers, all the fake friends in the world, and still feel unseen. And you can have none of it, yet walk in peace, power, and purpose because you know who you are. When you know your worth, the world can't discount you. Now, I get it. It hurts when you give your all to someone and they treat you like you're replaceable. It hurts when you're loyal to someone who only gives you half their heart. It hurts when you show up every day, people who only remember you when they need something. But the mistake we make is thinking that their blindness somehow defines our beauty. No, baby. Their blindness is their burden, not your reflection. Just because they can't see your light doesn't mean you stop shining. Let me tell you a story. Sometimes the diamond doesn't sparkle in the dark because the light hasn't hit it yet. But that doesn't mean it lost its shine. It's still valuable, still precious, still rare. It's just waiting for the right light, the right setting, the right moment to reveal what it's made of. And that's exactly how your life works. Just because one person couldn't see your worth doesn't mean the right person won't see it instantly. You don't have to prove your value. You just have to live it. People will mishandle you when they don't understand what they're holding. Some folks are so used to plastic that when they finally get gold, they don't know what to do with it. They get scared. They run. They compare you to the cheap things they're used to. But that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of their experience. Sometimes rejection is just redirection. Sometimes God hides your value from the wrong people so the right ones can find you untouched, unbroken, and prepared. You see, real value doesn't demand attention. It commands respect. When you know who you are, you stop chasing validation and start setting standards. You stop begging to be seen and start shining so bright that people have no choice but to notice. You stop proving yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you because you realize that being undervalued in the wrong place is better than being celebrated for the wrong reasons. I've met people who gave their whole heart to someone who couldn't see beyond their own ego. They tried to love them into seeing their worth. They thought if they gave more, forgave more, stayed longer, that one day that person would finally appreciate them. But here's the truth. You can't make someone see your value when they're determined to stay blind. Love doesn't open closed eyes, loss does. So stop trying to convince people of what you already know about yourself. When you truly believe in your worth, you move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself like someone who's already chosen, not someone waiting to be picked. You understand that not being seen by someone doesn't make you invisible. It just means you're not meant to be in their vision. And that's okay. Because sometimes God will hide you from people who would have mishandled your heart, your purpose, your energy. Not every door that closes is rejection. Sometimes it's protection. Let me tell you, so